All right, there's me, there's you, uh, there's that, there's that. All right, I think that's everything. Oh, hello, SHL, Rich and Luke, episode 127. Say hello, Luke.
Hello.
Perfect. And we are joined by Sve7en, one of the new expansion
Hi.
GMs. If you want to say hello really quick.
Hi.
Sure, people are more used to seeing you with a face and a voice rather than just a voice. So
Yeah, I have the face for radio, as I've always been told. So it should be fun.
cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't even. This is weird. I feel a little bit out of practice or something. Um, so we're just gonna jump into stuff and talk about stuff because we've been off since the day after the GMs were announced for expansion, so we've missed all of that. So we're gonna talk about as much of that as we can, as much as I can remember to bring up. So
Yeah,
unless
we can talk about all the logos and specifically Seven's logo as well.
Yeah, that's it's brilliant. Um, it does not exist at this point.
Damn, I was trying to clickbait everyone. I posted everywhere saying that official
I mean,
brand reveal.
Rich honestly missed a big clickbait slash
oh yeah,
advertising opportunity.
that's not me. That's not me. But I did consider that as a thing. But it's like I can't. It's not. Yeah, it's just not me.
I
Mhm.
also considered it, but things timing wise just haven't really worked out this weekend. So
Yeah, yeah.
Who
That's
cares about
how
HO?
it
You
goes.
know, who needs their approval? Just rip it and see what happens.
uh, you would think so.
Yeah, why not? What are they gonna do?
I mean, yeah, at this point, I'm not really sure what they would do. And like
Exactly.
everything's defined except for like what the actual logo is.
Yeah.
Um, and part of that's on me because we were talking going into the weekend. And I said, "Hey, this is what we've got. This is what we're probably going with. We just need to get the colors right." Um, so because it was all monochrome at that point, I was like, "The colors are going to change."
Can you
Um,
leak the colors?
uh, there
Can you
is
leak one color?
there is white.
Okay, that's
Um,
boring.
um, but I was like, "Hey, yeah, like um, this is what we're going with." Started thinking about it, and then I came back with um, a version that was not what I had given them at the start of the weekend, and said, "Surprise! This is actually what it's going to be." But like it was like in color and like the final thing, um, but it was not what they had been thinking about for the last 2 days. So they're getting reoriented with the changes. So
I'm sure that will go over well.
oh, yeah, I'm not worried about it in the slightest. But the formalities say that they need to okay it, and I did not come into this entire process with everything um, at all fleshed out, whereas the other three were pretty much ready to go right off the bat.
Yeah.
So that's been a bit of a hectic 4 weeks, 3 weeks, somewhere in there.
Yeah. How did you feel about Zane leaking your original branding as well?
Um, a lot of mixed feelings. It was it was honestly a funny post. Felt a little um backed into a corner, not as far as like that post specifically, but there were people that were constantly pressing me like, hey, like get on with it. What's your branding? Like do something with this. But then there were also people on the other side of the fence that were like, yo, I'm sick of all of these teaser posts. This is dumb. Put out your
Yeah.
um so like I was like I said, coming into a spot where I didn't have things ready to go right away, was stuck between two suboptimal options where either I could leave everybody in the dark and piss people off, or I could build some amount of hype and piss people off. Um,
Choose the latter.
yeah, so I figured I'd at least have fun with it. And then really just had the idea. I could post a thread with literally just 5 metro areas in Ohio and leave it at that, and see how the site would react, and that was fun.
Should we?
Is
Especially
it
after,
confirmed you're going to be in Ohio, or?
yeah, no, I mean,
Okay.
it was going to be really funny, and I joked with HO about that because they knew the threads that I was making. After I posted the first one, I said, "Hey, like, because we already had kind of agreed on like what the team was, but didn't have any of the graphics for it yet.
Yeah.
Because they were okay with the second one, and the Venice vibe was not feasible.
Was it only Venice and Ohio,
Yeah.
or was there another?
And the Ohio one, honestly, I'm sure when HO first saw it, they were like, "This can't be real. You're not actually like applying with this, are you?"
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody like kind of came around to it and liked it pretty quickly, so that was nice.
Does the logo have something or someone biting a stick?
It does not now.
Oh, come on.
F tier already. Jeez.
There
That's not
are
strong.
there are no mouths. There are no. I guess there's technically mouths, but there's no um, live things or animate.
So it's an idea or like
It's a vibe, yeah.
okay. So in Ohio, you'll be in my division, I assume.
I don't know, but that's
It
actually
depends
something that I guess.
if they move around the divisions.
Yeah, and I had
But
mentioned it.
yeah.
And when I had posted the Ohio things, I had linked it to a chirp that I had made because I mean, I guess you guys probably understand it when you're at this point. You don't need like all of the media money. So
Yeah.
I wanted the thread to just be the text of the Ohio teams, and then I linked it to a chirp where I actually put in like the verbiage and the thoughts of like what it would be like putting a team in each of these places.
Okay.
So I don't even know how many people clicked through, and it was at the bottom of a chirper page because I mistimed it
Yeah, no one reads that. Yeah.
by a post. So I had talked actually about Cleveland being a fun option with the idea that it immediately like reintroduces the concept of a Great Lakes division. Um, you're
Yeah.
right on the Erie with those teams, and then Chicago is super close, just down the Ohio Turnpike.
Yeah.
So like you immediately form these really strong geographical or divisional rivalries.
And
Um,
since Mickey Mouse is free use, logo right there, Steamboat
yeah,
Willie.
there we go. Brilliant. Um, Also really fun was Fresh in GM chat was insisting that I would just be the 7-7s.
Mm-hmm.
And we made a lot of slot machine jokes about that.
Yeah, the famous Ohio casinos.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's. I
we
don't know if
have
they have
actual
any.
casinos at this point.
Ah.
Um, there's a Hard Rock in Cincinnati. I think there's a Hard Rock in Cleveland, and there's one just outside of Columbus.
Interesting. That makes sense.
Yeah, there's a Hollywood Columbus. Um, and a bunch of like smaller ones. There's an MGM place in Cleveland. Like, yeah, we could pull something off there. Maybe not,
And
but
next expansion, get a second team in Ohio.
yeah. Um,
There. So I actually really quickly, since this is one of the things that you kind of mentioned, but it's pretty loose. But you did mention Fresh, so we do have. I think we have co-GMs for all the teams now, don't we? Yeah,
yes.
we
The
Yeah.
do.
last one was not loudly announced. I don't
It
think.
I
But
actually
it
messaged
was.
Rashford to verify. So I was like, "This is what this means, right?"
Yeah.
Because yeah, it wasn't really. It was kind of clear, but also not like explicitly stated. Like, so
Mhm.
yeah, we got
Yeah, and then
you. I don't know
Trips
if you.
posted media about it, but like
Yeah,
it was not like um it wasn't formatted in a way that like people like looking at like the unread posts would immediately catch that as, oh, this is something like GM related.
yeah. When he
Mhm.
posted it, I was like, I think this is probably what this is going to be about. And then when I read it, I was like, I still think this is probably what this is about. But I went to Rashford to verify. Like, that's what happened,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So we got
Yeah.
trips for Rashford's
Trips and
co-GM.
Rashford.
Yeah.
We got HFFO and Egg Cracker bringing the Edmonton guys back.
Mhm.
And then we have Sve7en and Tig, which I was surprised Tig applied.
Yeah.
And then Ace and S Fresh.
Yep.
Which is all like
For yeah, what are you gonna say, Rich?
it's a great group. All four are excellent choices. So.
Yeah, I was surprised with the amount of quality co-GMs. Yeah, I was gonna ask
Hmm.
you, how many apps did you get, and then like, without saying all the names, because I think that would be kind of
Awful.
too much of a leak. Like how many quality
Yeah.
ones did you get?
Um, I had six. So, we'll say six. Um, and like they all felt good. Like I had good chats with all of them. Um, but having um that experience in playing on a TIG team in Seattle, and that especially when I was coming out of um, Los Angeles, because Fuzz had just been my GM in Carolina and had moved to LA as I did when Wasti left.
Mm-hmm.
So like I hadn't experienced anything other than Fuzz for like 2 calendar years, and Tig was always somebody that like I had known well and respected. So really jumped at that opportunity to go to Seattle and play on his team. Um, and that was a really um, formative experience in just taking all of the stuff that I had learned from Fuzz and all the stuff that I developed on my own and actually getting um, some other type of input on it, on what I was doing, which I really appreciated. But also like Tig and I think very differently as DMs, but have a lot of overlap and have a lot of ways to like that we challenge each other's opinions on things. Which is something that I think I mentioned on SHL tonight that I really valued. Was somebody that would be very comfortable having a viewpoint on things and sticking to it, and um, challenging my ideas on things, especially because I'm coming from um, the J with a different perspective. So there's ideas about how I think that the SHL jamming should work that may or may not, and having the combination of somebody that can tell me what will and what won't, and also that has been one of the few people to be a established JGM and then move to an expansion team. That's a really unique experience that we both share and have somewhat similar but different perspectives on, and I think that was a no-brainer for fit as far as that goes.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah,
makes a
I
ton of
would
sense.
say one thing is just don't scout people the day of the draft, or don't do
Uh,
all your scouting there.
so counterpoint, I did that for LAP when I was interim GM, and it went
Yeah.
really well.
Mm. Did you have high picks?
Yeah, we picked Fest 8 overall.
Oh, okay. Yeah, wait until they go. Well, now it's gonna be like 18 to 24. That's where it's gonna get interesting.
Yeah, but then we picked G Cool and Canes in the second, and that also went well. So I don't know.
Hmm.
I agree. It's probably not the best way to go about it, but I haven't been burned by it yet, so we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, do we want to go over some of the we got the draft protection rules, which obviously aren't like news at this point, but we haven't
Yeah.
talked about them, and I am interested also to hear maybe what Seven thinks about certain things, or yeah, 'cause I have thoughts, not
Yeah.
like maybe not quite as strong because I'm not affected as much by them, but um, my hope for what we were gonna get is like the bottom of what I hoped for was this minus the wild card. Um,
Yeah.
I was actually hoping for even fewer protection slots, but I knew that was probably unrealistic.
Oh, you hate me then. You hate
Yeah,
me,
I
right?
hate all GMs. They're awful. Um, no, I want to see things shaken up. So
Mhm.
it's purely from the like I like seeing the league. I like seeing things happen. People move around and stuff.
Mhm.
I know that's not what people want, and I'm
I
probably
think
not.
we'll see a lot of player movement regardless this
Probably,
offseason.
probably. Yeah, decent chance. So I guess the rules aren't really that crazy. They're I don't know. They seem pretty reasonable. I think from given that we've got 4 teams in the expansion draft, they seem pretty. I think generous to the existing teams.
We
Um,
should have seen what it was at the start.
I would be interested to find to find that out. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
I
curious.
can. I don't think Luke and I are gonna see eye to eye on some of these
No,
things,
not at
but
Probably
all.
not. Yeah.
But also, we got different vested interests.
yeah.
So I guess Seven. What's your biggest takeaway from the protection rules, or what's I don't know what's the first thing you that comes to mind when you look at the expansion rules?
Um, I think that I was generally really surprised by the flexibility afforded to teams. Because when I had done my planning for my application and um, saying like, hey, yeah, this is what I think is it's going to look like. This is what my plan is, and like laying out a roadmap for HO in my application, I grabbed which I'm assuming a lot of people did. I grabbed the old 741 rules from the past couple expansions. Said, okay, this is what I expect. This is you have to tweak a couple things because we've got more teams to pick from and more teams picking, and it's going to look a little different, but that's about what I would expect. And because of that, some teams are going to be put into spots. Um, and the level of flexibility is a really striking difference in if you look at how HO operates now as opposed to potentially how they did 4 or 5 years ago. Um, and while I think it's generally a good thing, it does put way fewer teams in spots where they would be pinched by a more inflexible rule set. And I don't know if that necessarily needed to happen.
Is this
I get why it happened, and I get like it's a positive thing for HO to be considering that and to be more accepting of the different situations that teams are in. But I think that it more at the same time it also means that teams aren't punished for some questionable roster building decisions that they've made over the last calendar year.
agree? So I guess I don't know. You kind of maybe I don't know. So I guess do you think this is more a function of like the makeup of HO, or is this more on the teams kind of pushing HO in this direction for the
Um,
flexibility?
the flexibility I think is an HO driven thing. Um,
Okay.
like knowing how Jess and Frenchie operate from a commissioner perspective, Finn is very much in line with them, and HO is generally, from my experience as a JGM and from what I've seen, um, the times that I've had to be in doing drafts for Montreal or doing draft streams, there's a lot of um, not compassion, but a lot of consideration given for um, the circumstances that people are in, and the circumstances that teams are put into with how rules are put into place or how different functions of the league are interpreted. So I think that that's a kind of unexpected effect of all of this is, or I guess it's expected that rules would reflect a similar mindset, where they're not out to really put teams into tough situations like that.
Hmm. All right, Luke. Counterpoint.
Yeah.
You got any
No, I
different
think
perspective,
definitely this
or
season uh is a lot more flexibility than last expansion. I think they did restrict some of the GMs ways of getting out of it, like the GMs that retired early. I believe they still can only protect a certain amount of players, just like if their co-GM also retired, they get that extra protection slot. It was also interesting, I think, for Calgary, and I don't know if any other GM is a
Buffalo
goalie, and Buffalo. Yeah, those they get an extra protection slot because they're
and now many, but
because their GMs are goalies. But yeah, no, I think the flexibility is probably a little bit too much, but I think in general, I think uh, it's a good protection list. You know, I know for New England we have to make a couple hard choices, even with the added like wild card and stuff like that. But without that, it would have been a lot harder. So I think in terms of flexibility, they did give us a lot of flexibility. Like I think we'll be seeing a lot of firsts and seconds as expansion, like you're able to pick for that. So it's going to be interesting to see which teams really take advantage of that versus teams that think they can get a couple good players in the expansion draft and then pull in a couple good players in either free agency or trades.
so? I guess my biggest surprise was the wild card. Um, how you guys may actually know this. I don't. Maybe Luke would. I don't know. I don't know how involved the expansion GMs were in having their voice heard for the rule set. But I assume that the existing GMs at least had some amount of voice in the process. Um, is was that pretty heavily like GM driven, the wild card,
Uh,
or was that kind of a thing that came about without
I
a
think
lot of
HO.
GM input?
I mean, we GMs complained about stuff. HO came back, said more stuff. GMs complained more. HO came back with their final version, and then it had the wild card. I know a couple GMs were complaining about, if since we only protect one draft season instead of the regular two draft seasons, for for the teams that don't have any picks in season 82 or something like that, try to make it more fair for those GMs.
Hmm. Okay, I'm just kind of curious if that was a thing that kind of came about, or how that came about.
I think came out off of some GMs that had a lot of season 81 players, basically.
Hmm.
So it's a kind of a way to let them try to keep some of them.
Protection lists next weekend. All right,
yeah, at the trade
Yeah,
deadline.
yeah, next
all right,
weekend.
perfect. Excited for
Yeah, I gotta reach out to some of my players.
that. How I guess Luke, how difficult is it going to be for because coming in LA, it's a I don't know. From my perspective, I'm not making any decisions. So unless there's something behind the scenes with certain players that either want to or don't want to, I don't know. But I feel like our decisions are pretty easy. So how's it in New England?
It's pretty easy. Um, we there's a couple hard choices that we have to make, but overall, it's nothing where it's just like when the protection list came out, with the initial protection list came out, I got a list out in like 10 minutes to our war room, and then once everything became final, got another list out, and it's pretty like, pretty set in stone of like what we're going to do. It's just a matter of uh making sure that we can
Yeah,
making sure that uh we can protect everyone that we can and make sure everyone's voices are heard from
yeah,
that.
yeah. That makes sense. Talk to everybody that is affected or potentially affected, make sure they're all good with it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
How with the this is a couple weeks back now, so this is maybe a little, I don't know, a little dated topic, but the expansion media that was, there's like 2 or 3, I don't remember, kind of like predictions as far as what was going to be protected on each team. How do you
Yeah,
remember how accurate it was for New England?
It was pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Symmetric's list, to
Yeah,
be honest.
Symmetric had a very extensive one.
Yeah.
yeah. Jeffy's also wasn't bad.
I
Yeah,
don't. Oh
Jeffy's
yeah, he
was
did finish in. Yeah.
KB's was good, even though he gave the existing teams better protection slots than actual HO, and that was before when HO sent out everything. His
Yeah.
is pretty good as well.
All right. Do you have any early expectations of what your team could potentially look like, Seven? Or are you just you still too
And
much up in
name
the air?
every player that you want.
How many specific people can I name before I get into trouble?
Oh,
Um,
probably
yeah.
7.
uh, no, because I already know how. Yeah, I know exactly who has tamperable contracts, so I could name all of those. But um,
I guess maybe a better question is like, do you have a plan, like of what you're going to target, or like what type of roster you're going to try to build initially? And
yes,
and
but
not
it's
asking you to tell us what that is. I guess I shouldn't.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
Why not,
it's
Rich? Ask him.
hard because
trying to be a good
there's
host.
a um, it's hard to put for Tig and I tried to put our head like our to project our brains into these other teams because like from we can look at a team and look at their budget, we can look at their TPE, we can look at their players' ages and what they're if it looks like they're going to be contending or plateauing or in decline, and that's going to drive decision making. But our interpretations of these things might be different than what the actual GMs are. And it's hard to say, I guess.
Yeah,
Everyone's going to have different perspectives as to how these extra bot protection slots with draft picks are going to go. Um, because I like Lucas saying that he expects there to be a lot of draft picks out there, but I've heard from in just small talk / gossip with GMs that some don't expect there to be a lot of picks exposed
Really?
or picks used to protect additional players. So
That's interesting to me.
um, I'm a lot of it's going to come down to that and come down to like there's teams that you like say Tig and I are expecting like X number of teams that are um ascending to be behaving in a certain way with their protections, but if they don't behave how we're expecting to, that means players of different types / trajectories are going to be exposed. Um, I think what's people have been saying for Tig and I is that we have older players, so that we're more likely to target. We're more likely to build a win now team, but I think that's overlooking the actual insight to it. Is that Tig and I currently have older players, and we can do that, but we have the same we have the flexibility to do that or to retire our players and get in with a young class. Like if we need to, we can still do that. But we have the additional option of picking players that say Ace's team might not be targeting, or like all the teams with all these younger GMs might not be targeting. So there's additional flexibility there. We just have to figure out, or I guess in some ways wait and see what the existing teams are doing, and how they see their near future compared to the rest of the league.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's
Yeah, it's all theoretical right now
Yeah.
until the actual stuff is posted. Then that's when the real fun's going to be, because once you have the actual list out and everyone knows it, then it's kind of like gaming, seeing, who's really available, talking to the GMs, trying to make deals, stuff like that.
Well, the who's really available is also interesting because everybody better be available. Um,
In what way?
from the like if you scroll, I think if it's in the same post, if Rich scrolls down, um,
Oh, like you can talk to, like, everyone has to talk to you type of thing.
yeah, the right there, point number 9, with all the circumvention stipulations that they're putting in there,
Hmm.
um, like it is very uh like a hard line drawn by HO saying like if people are exposed, they better be available or you'd better be getting them back.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciate from my perspective. Uh, but it does mean that like okay, there is effectively a floor, and teams aren't going to be exposing like their 7 most loyal people that are all just gonna like as soon as I message them, they're gonna tell me to like piss off and block me. Um,
who would do
so
that?
like I don't know. I can think of some people.
Come
Name some
So,
GMs.
granted, I think that these are people that if I DM'd them would just tell me to piss off and block me.
Hmm.
But I think there might also be teams that would be doing that.
Yes, start naming some teams.
on.
New England.
Wouldn't be me.
No, but if those rules weren't in there, how likely would you be to expose some loyal people?
None.
Hmm.
Honestly, like,
We just had a long conversation where we saw eye to eye on if you give SHL GMs an angle to shoot, they will absolutely shoot.
I agree, but there, I also have some type of morality. That being said, I would not, if I had the choice, I would just tell you guys that you can't message them, but I'll protect all the little people that I can. It would
Yeah,
just be a little fun thing.
yeah. No, I think that given this, there's going to be like there was an expectation set by HO, and there's going to be an expectation of like, okay, if you're hearing from your GM that you're exposed, they don't want to be doing this, but like it almost carries like a hey, we're sorry, but we have no option here, or we're trying to trade for you back, but like this is something that has to happen. Like
Hmm.
you might get picked, you might not, but like this is something that you kind of have to be okay with. Um,
Yeah, it's very much of a forced thing.
yeah, which is like a little iffy because we've had all these discussions about player agency recently and players being on teams that they want to be on. But I think that it's hard to look at the 4 expansion teams and say that these are not good destinations to end up in. Um,
Yeah, I think especially with the quality of the GMs, uh, and especially
yeah,
with the co-GMs now as well. They're very attractive areas to go to.
yeah, and the fact that there's 4 of them, but, like with the last ones, like okay, you didn't get along with Tig or Ass, and you're like, okay, yeah, like screw this. But it's much less likely that. Well, no, it was Tig and Hot Dog, and then Ass and Dan. My bad. But
Yeah, I was
like,
about to say.
um, I just picked the 2 least likable guys. Sorry.
Hmm.
Um, but with there being 4 teams and 3 people from theoretically 3 people from each team getting picked, but that won't be the case across the board. It's more likely that you're looking at team that you're ending up in a team that you're happy or comfortable in, and that you have people that you know joining you in that team. And I think that's a much more positive um, experience for everybody involved.
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested to see. No, this is all like I guess kind of like you talked about earlier. This is all way too early to really figure out what is going to happen in the draft. We don't even have an expansion protection list, anything like that. So it's really early. But I think based on the GMs for all 4 teams, I feel like there's going to be a huge focus on locker room culture building.
Mhm.
Like that's, I mean, I don't want to say that's going to be like the primary goal, but like I don't know. I feel like it's going to play a pretty big role in all 4 teams. Um, let's talk about some branding since we've got 2 of them.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
2.5.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess yeah, 2.5. Um,
Which one's what's the half that we don't have?
we got
HFFO's
yeah hiffos
actual.
Oh, yeah.
getting reworked, and I don't think anything's changing other than just like the actual like logo stuff, right?
No, I heard
But
he's changing everything.
I don't think is that true? Or are you just
Yeah,
saying that?
I think he's going
Oh
to
really?
another city.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh, I did not know that.
I don't
I
I
have no
did
idea either.
I know nothing. My assumption was okay
No,
okay
no, no,
okay
no, no, you stand the same.
okay you yeah,
You
yeah
little
you look.
troll.
Uh,
Yeah.
all right. Well, at any rate,
You think he would tell me?
well, I don't know. You're pretty plugged in,
I am plugged in,
Mister
but not
10
not like that.
Littleton Noms or whatever.
More than that.
I'm sure. Yeah, that was
Who's
10 was
counting?
like 10 was
He's
I don't know
counting though.
mid 70s I think is when you had 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got Ace's team. We've got the Nashville Sound, which is really cool. I mean, the color scheme is like the least interesting thing about it because it's kind of pretty basic, but that's fine. The concept is great, I
Wow.
think.
So you hate A's? Is that what
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that's what I
hearing?
heard.
that's exactly it. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, completely
All
accurate.
right, just making sure.
Yeah, I'm a Nashville fan. Sound is an interesting concept. Makes sense. Primary logo is pretty cool. The cat, that's fine. No problems with the
Yeah.
cat.
I think that the sound wave in the shape of the skyline, with the bottom of the sound wave effectively being a river reflection, is insanely clever.
See, I don't think I
Yeah, who
would
did the
pick up
logo on
on
that
that
again?
unless I was
Did
told.
he hire someone?
Uh, there were a couple people working on it. I think I don't know specifically.
Yeah, they did a
Um,
very good job at that.
I think Roge said that it was the sound wave was his idea, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But I think that is um, absolutely brilliant from a design and execution perspective. Um, at the same time, like I can't imagine like you would do something Nashville related and not have it tie into the music culture there. Um,
Yeah.
sound is a good riff on that. Fan of that from riff on that being not intended, but um, it's a it's a good idea, and coming from somebody that applied with Vibe as a team name, like I can fully get behind that. Um, yeah, overall solid. Um, hits every aspect. Doesn't
It's every note.
Yeah, there we go. If we were trying to cram as many musical puns into there as we could.
I think we had to at that point.
Think I was mostly just talking about sim league brandings because every sim league seems to just go after the musical aspect.
In Nashville.
Like the Preds definitely don't, but even like multiple aspects of the Predators branding tie back into it.
For sure.
You got the pick shape in that in the Predators branding. You've got the guitar strings on the numbers, the keyboard and the collar of the jersey. I thought there was something on one of the alt logos with the cat, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
I'm not very familiar with them, so I have no idea. Um, Thoughts on the jerseys at all? I think the alternate is really, really cool. I mean, the home and away are kind of what you'd expect, I
Yeah.
suppose.
They're good jerseys.
Yeah. They're what
Yeah.
you'd expect. You just invert the blue and the white, and I think that's solid and
It's
safe.
fine. Yeah, yeah. Did he have anything else? Not really. Okay, cool. Um, anything else there, or should we jump over to Rashford?
You go to Rashford's, I guess.
Rashford, yeah. Which I actually have not looked at that closely yet. I know it was posted, but I didn't, I guess, ignore it, but I didn't really like
Do you
take a
like
good
beer?
long look at it. I looked at it at work where none of the images showed up, is what happened, and then I never went back to it.
Yeah.
So this is not my first time looking at it, but it's my first time looking at it for an extended period.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting color choices.
I get down with the color choices. I can't remember which is the tertiary, which order the colors are prioritized. I think
Yeah.
red was the primary.
Yeah, assuming maroon, gold, blue, in that order.
Yeah, I think so. Based on like the jerseys, it looks like it.
Yeah, that's what my assumption would be.
But no, I get down with it. I
Glacier.
like that it's not just a head compared to every other human fighter in the leagues.
Yeah, you get a bigger picture. What is do they go full? Okay, the full thing on the jersey.
Yeah,
I like the alternate here again quite a bit.
mm-hmm.
Just the Denver with the little mountain like that.
Yeah, honestly, like I think both of the alternates could. Well, this alternate definitely I think could have been the away. Um, either with the white background or some other combination of colors. But I like um, and I can't even say for my branding what it's gonna look like because I haven't quite made that decision yet. But the home and away invert the primary secondary colors or the primary and white is um not generic, but it is like the default way to get your jerseys in. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, but like that alternate, like I'd be much more interested in seeing that on the ice some of the times. Kind of like how you have like the Columbus Blue Jackets with the cannon third is like, okay, why don't you just run like the cannon third as your primary, and then do like the normal away jersey or something like that. Like make more and like obviously we can't like really tell how frequently these jerseys are going to get used, but like make good like strong use out of like the things that make your branding unique.
Yeah, so I get the more I look at these, and I need to look at so University of Minnesota. It keeps
Yeah,
like the colors. I can't not think about that when I look at it, but that's sure a big part of because I'm a North Dakota fan and they're like were our big rivals. So like
mm-hmm.
kind of like they're poking me in the brain like these are the Minnesota colors.
Yeah, but like pretty much every SHL, like every
Yeah.
SHL and J team is going to be tied to like some color scheme
Yeah. This is
of like some school or some pro team.
just the one that like like I have some kind of relationship with because like
Yeah.
NHL teams like there's nothing like none of that. But yeah, for some reason like the colors like that's all I can think about. Yeah. Guess I don't really have a whole lot to say. Glacier Guardians.
Yeah, which honestly I really get down with the name. Like it's doing something like heavily variant from what other people are trying to do in the league with their team's identities. So I can get down with that.
I just don't like the two names. I'll be honest. I get the alliteration as well. I think it's just going to be called Denver Guardians on shorthand.
Yeah. I do like the idea that they can just type GG after every win, though.
True. Or it'll be a very interesting meme of GG if they lose or lose spectacularly.
Yeah, it's just typed after every game, honestly, just
You
by
get
the winning or
their
losing team.
their little GG logo is like a little emoji thing we could use in
Yeah.
in like the what do you call it?
Oh yeah.
Twitch or YouTube. That'd be fun. Let's talk really quickly about hiffos, even though we don't have like official. We don't have the old official picture yet, or logo and jersey setup. But
Yeah.
the Madison, is it Valkyrie or Valkyries? Was it?
Valkyries.
So yeah, we got that. I'm not gonna. I don't send it to me. Don't send it to me. If I would prefer.
No. Send it.
I'd prefer not to. I want the reveal along with everybody else.
Why? Why? We can get the exclusive.
No, it's more fun. It's more fun. We can speculate about how few hockey sticks it's going to be biting, and how just generally terrible it's going to be.
I'll say that. Let me have some hope.
I'm about to DM mine just to Rich so that we can sit here and listen to Rich react to it.
Sure, do it.
All right, so Sunday we get the expansion protection lists from everybody. Is that when they're due, and that's not necessarily when they're going to be public? Do we know that yet?
I assume that they'll get posted like the next morning.
I would hope so, because I can't wait. Like, I'm impatient enough as it is.
Yeah, Rich just wants chaos at this point.
I do. Please, one protection slot per team. You can protect yourself as the GM. That's it. Yeah. A7. What's going on in Montreal?
Like they're losing?
Why though? Why?
I asked.
Hard.
What was that?
I asked. What's up, Seven?
I said FHM 10 is hard.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
I asked DK, and he said he didn't know. He's running mostly the same strats he was doing last season. Just isn't working.
I was so high on Montreal going into the season. Like, come on, what's going on?
Yeah, like obviously, like CK having to retire his player, takes a bit of gas out of the lineup, but things just haven't really gelled. I guess kind of the way that we thought they would. There was the issue where we had backup goalie playing 9 games, and it's looking like goalie performance is at least somewhat affected, or at least maybe more affected by TPE right now. So that might have not really helped us out. I think I'd have to check. I am not as plugged into SHL tactics at this point. Like, it's still something that I need to like start paying attention to.
Yeah.
But I think that some teams had defensive scheme changes. Now that we have more information about shot quality and more information about how people, like players, fit into tactics, that might have caused some shifts in and out of different schemes at on a team by team basis. But also, like, Montreal's also played 20 road games at this point.
Oh, really?
And they're 6-14 on the road, so that
hurts. Yeah.
Granted, doesn't help, but I wouldn't say that that's primarily the issue.
Sure.
No, they're just getting outshot.
Yeah.
Luke, how tied into the tactics in New England are you?
I'm the only one that does the tactics, besides maybe 1 or 2 other people that do it when I'm not available.
Okay.
In the playoffs. So
have you, with the shot quality information, has that like changed anything you've done yet?
Not at all.
Okay. I looked at it a little bit and I was like, I don't no, I couldn't
Yeah,
figure out a way to like. Yeah,
the
I'm
only
not
thing
that guy either.
that is interesting is that my two defensemen on the power play are shooting higher than I want to,
Hmm.
but other than that, like, uh, it's just almost the same tactics that we ran last season. You know, mostly the same. It's just slightly different personnel getting carry and then calling up two rookies. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty much the same. We're getting good results, thankfully, and our goalies isn't killing us like it did in season 80 or something like that. Um, but, I'm super happy with it. Maybe I should look at it a little bit more, but also like I don't know. We're winning right now. We're top 5 team in the league. Can't complain too much.
Oh, actually, no, Montreal's not getting outshot right now. They have a plus 4.5 shot diff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Shit.
The
I'm
power
lucky.
play is bad, and the goals, like the goal diff is bad,
Yeah.
but actual shots are fine.
Well, I guess just be
Funny.
better.
Yeah, mostly just skill issue.
Yeah. Same with Philly, even though Philly brought it back better than Montreal.
Yeah,
Yeah, seeing those two doing absolute dog shit at the start was interesting.
yeah. Um, I,
Don't
I do
remind
think
me,
that part of
Beaver.
it comes back to like defensive woes, like CK's player being gone, and then the um teams have been like making shifts to some extent. Like Montreal came alive last season once we got the defense dialed in. It was like
Yeah.
a similar slow start, and then um Chevy, CK, and I got the defense dialed in. Um, and at that point, it kind of accelerated from there. But I don't think that's really. I think it's a similar issue looking at like the um, dot diff and goal diff. Um, like we're getting clowned on scoring even though we're out shooting like 34 to 29 or something.
Yeah.
Um, and so part of that's the backup goalie, and part of that's just not uh, locking down on defense like you would expect the lineup to and the scheme to.
Hmm.
Um, like that kind of, and before we had the shot quality, like that would scream like, okay, we're giving up high percentage shots, high danger shots. And before we weren't, so that's probably a shift in personnel, but also just how our scheme is lining up against other offenses.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else interesting? Like, I don't really want to necessarily dig into standings and all that kind of stuff. That's not fun, right? Nobody wants to talk about that. Um, but is there anything interesting, or anything worth talking about? If not, we got questions we can jump into. There might be something there. Who knows though? Because Troy was one of the askers. So, but if not, um, he wants to know something about trades. So we're gonna listen to Troy. He's not interesting. BVS, do you think SHL expansion is going to help the logjam in the J?
Yeah, I think we'll see a couple more earlier call ups than everyone else has been the last couple seasons. So I think we'll see a couple of people get called up in the third season instead of the fourth season.
I think there will be some. Uh, I think that JHO as a whole sits differently than I do. I think it's gonna. I think that there's sort of an inflated expectation, um, and that like retirements are gonna go down. There will be some additional call ups, but I think that generally that's still player and situation driven, and I think that there will be um, finally potentially we're going to have GMs and SHL teams in general come to terms with where they're at, and they're going to have to figure that out this next week leading up into the expansion draft. So we're going to finally have SHL teams that have thought about what they're doing for more than the next 2 weeks. And that is beneficial from a perspective of they're going to go, okay, we're not expecting to be competitive, or we are expecting to be competitive. This is what we look like in 83 and 84. There's no value to calling up these people early when they would prefer to stay down, or, okay, we're going to be at this cap crunch specifically here. So I think that, and obviously this is me coming at it from a very former JGM perspective, but I think that it's going to make SHL teams think more and make more conscious decisions. So there will be some additional call-ups, but I think that it's again overinflated, and I think that there will be more IAs rostered by teams that aren't looking to do anything. There will be some sign-in trades from teams that aren't looking to contend, or not sign-in trades, but players being traded off and retained. And the teams that aren't looking to contend are going to accept that they can't do anything, and they're not going to call their players up into situations where it's going to tank their career stats.
Yeah, I think basically the same. It might a little bit, but I think not as much as anybody would hope it would.
Yeah.
Increase the number of call-ups. I think that's just purely because like GMs are gonna want to do what their players want and what the players want, and this is not necessarily a good or bad thing, but the I think the expectation now is that you play like all your J seasons, essentially your entire eligibility. And yeah, I don't know that that's good or bad necessarily, but this is where it is now.
Yeah, I mean it's the default. There are definitely still teams that are. There are definitely still players that want to go up early, and there's still teams that are like open to it. But I think that yeah, and I don't yeah, I forgot where I was going with it. There's something I was going to spin off your agreement though. Let's see if I can come back with it, but
Yeah, I think it will mostly just be teams who are good teams. They lose someone in expansion. They don't really, free agent they lucked out on, or they have a tighter cap, and they're like to their third season player, like, hey, you want to come up? You won't be terrible, and you'll win. I think that's how they're going to do.
yeah. Oh, I did just think of it as Luke was talking. So I think that Luke had mentioned teams losing people, but teams are about to lose between 1 and 3 people given how their situations are for the expansion draft. But if you just lose these people, how much more important does it become to keep your current prospects happy? Like, you're not about to risk making them unhappy with a call up that they're not really on board with.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think anyone that calls someone up without talking to them is insane.
A great GM, do it.
Well, even beyond that, like you can,
Yeah.
there's so frequently in the J, I've seen GMs go to me and say, "Hey, we're calling this person up," but like I've talked to them in the past, and they're like pretty wishy washy on if they would want that. And I'm like, okay, did you reach out to this first gen, say, "Hey, we think we might need to call you up early," and they don't question it because they're, for lack of a better phrase, terrified to step out of line against you. Like they don't
Yeah,
know that they have like
insane.
some level of agency in the situation, and they just kind of accept it. And that happens or has happened more than a couple times.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, right. Outlandish. No, we would never have that. But I think that hopefully there's GMs that are more aware of like, okay, we cannot risk alienating any of these people because like we suddenly, like every team is down 1 to 3 assets, for lack of a better word. We can't risk like not managing any of these situations well.
Luke, I don't know, project, not right, but if this is something you can find, when was the last active true rookie? I don't know if that term still exists in the SHL or not, but
The last one I remember is Buster's player from the season 50s. He was a true rookie.
Did no, because did Blast or somebody do it recently in like the 60s? I think somebody. I don't
That
remember.
could be a possibility, yeah.
Somebody Blast might have done after 1, and then Cal did after 2 or something.
I could see that.
Dad was almost. Stad went up in his second season after the Toronto cap penalties. So like he played, I think, a season and a half in Carolina. So depending on how technical you want to get with that, he was up after his second season, I think.
Okay, nice.
Or up in his second season.
I like that.
Words are hard. What season was that? All I remember is making the Toronto for meme.
And this, by the way, this goes for, I'm gonna say something really quick for both Sve7en and Luke. We are up on an hour, so if you guys need to leave at any point, let me know. I'm happy to keep going. So
I will need to pretty soon.
Yeah.
But no, I was wrong. Stad played 2 full seasons and then went up early in the third. So, yeah, I've had the fond pleasure of losing multiple players after 2 seasons in the J, and that's unwillingly, and that's been fun.
Well, we can wrap it up here if you guys want to. I've got some more questions. They're not anything that's
I can do questions.
necessarily time sensitive, so we don't need to. And also, most of them aren't SHL related, so.
Very good. I was just doing lines for New England, so.
Yeah, you give me one. You give me one that I can chime into, and then I'll get moving.
All right. Let's see. Who do we have winning the cup in the NHL? How about that?
The what? Sorry.
I don't know who's in the playoffs.
Same.
The Stars.
I know they're good. I know they're good, right? Yeah.
I didn't know who won that game yesterday. So
The Stars did.
Thank you for letting me know. Playoff bracket: Stars, Jets, Blues, Knights, Oilers, Canes, Caps, Leafs, Panthers. I hope to God it's not the Knights. And weirdly, I guess to a lot of people, I kind of want to see the Maple Leafs do it.
Oh, come on.
Just because I like the number of people that are going to be in shambles that the Leafs won it is going to be high, and that's entertaining to me. But also it means that the Panthers lose, and it means that the Caps or Hurricanes lose, and I kind of need that.
Yeah, it's fair.
I also don't like the Stars as a Nashville fan, and I hate the Golden Knights. So the Leafs and Oilers are the only teams that I like look on fondly that are in the playoffs at this point. I guess the Canes are okay. They're like not bad. I don't like the other teams though.
You got any input, Luke?
Yeah, so the Stars.
Stars, okay. I have no idea. I will say because didn't they win? Panthers won last season, right?
Yes.
Not crazy, right?
Yeah.
So let's say I'm going to say them again because why not? I don't particularly care one way or the other. There you go. That was G Hams.
Nice.
Yep. And then we can save. We got a question from Noxu. We can save for a little bit because it doesn't. That can be answered at any point. So yeah, that'll do it. Thanks for hanging out, Sve7en. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for letting me talk way too much. Sorry about that.
No. It's all good. Makes it easy.
But thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it was fun. Appreciate it. And Luke, as always, we are off next week. I will not be here, so heads up.
Okay.
Not that it was likely we were gonna back-to-back week, with our
That's great.
consistency.
Maybe I'll bring in Adam.
Oh yeah, do that. That'd be awesome, actually.
Yeah. All right.
All right, take it easy.
See you.
So long.